Ike Rogers was the kind of lawman whose presence spoke louder than any words he could have said. He served as a black deputy U.S. Marshal in Indian Territory during a time when the badge demanded everything from the men who wore it. The land was rough, the outlaws were desperate, and the work was unforgiving. But Rogers carried himself with a calm confidence that made him one of the most respected deputies of his era. Born into a world where survival depended on grit and discipline, Rogers learned early how to read people, how to navigate danger, and how to stand firm when others hesitated. Those skills would become the foundation of his career as a deputy marshal. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, he was steady, the kind of man who could walk into a tense situation and settle it with nothing more than his presence. Rogers served under the jurisdiction of Judge Isaac Parker, the hanging judge, whose court demanded deputies capable of tracking fugitives across hundreds of miles of rugged terrain. Rogers was one of those men. He rode through the thick forests, open plains, and unpredictable weather of Indian Territory, often for days at a time, following trails that others would have abandoned. His ability to stay focused, patient, and disciplined made him invaluable to the Marshal Service. One of the things that set Ike Rogers apart was his deep understanding of the communities he served. Indian Territory was a complex place, home to Black freedmen, Indigenous nations, settlers, and outlaws who moved between them. Rogers knew how to navigate those worlds with respect and awareness. He built trust where others created tension. He listened before he acted. And because of that, people talked to him. They shared information. They warned him of danger. They pointed him in the right direction when fugitives tried to disappear into the wilderness. Rogers was known for his ability to bring fugitives in alive. He believed that justice meant giving a man his day in court, not rushing to violence. Many outlaws surrendered the moment they saw him ride up. They knew he wasn't a man to test, but they also knew he wasn't a man who wanted bloodshed. His restraint was a strength, not a weakness, and it earned him a reputation that spread far beyond the borders of the territory. One of his most memorable pursuits involved a fugitive who had fled deep into the Cherokee Nation. The man was armed, unpredictable, and determined not to return to Fort Smith. Rogers tracked him for days through thick brush and rocky hills, always staying just far enough back to avoid an ambush. When he finally caught up to the fugitive, Rogers didn't draw his weapon. He spoke calmly, firmly, reminding the man that running would only make things worse. After a long silence, the fugitive dropped his gun and surrendered. It was a moment that captured everything Rogers stood for: courage, patience, and a commitment to justice over violence. Rogers also worked closely with other Black and Indigenous deputies, forming a brotherhood built on shared danger and shared purpose. They rode together, fought together, and protected one another in a world where backup was often miles away. Those bonds were forged in the hardest moments: long nights on the trail, sudden gunfire in the dark, and the quiet rides back to Fort Smith with a prisoner in tow. As the years passed, Ike Rogers became a symbol of what Black lawmen contributed to the frontier. His work helped bring stability to a region that desperately needed it. His name may not appear in every history book, but his impact is undeniable. He stood as proof that justice in the Old West wasn't shaped only by the men who made headlines, but also by the men who worked in the shadows, doing the job with integrity and courage. Ike Rogers represents the countless Black deputies whose stories were nearly lost to time. Men who carried the badge with honor. Men who protected communities that didn't always protect them. Men who believed in justice even when the world around them didn't believe in them. His legacy lives on in the quiet strength he embodied, in the lives he protected, and in the truth that Black lawmen were not the exception. They were essential to the making of frontier justice. This is Black Justice Untold, the stories they tried to erase, now remembered. If this moved you, like, share, and subscribe so we can keep reclaiming our history together. Our stories deserve to be seen, heard, and